Yeah, because they were cool.
I would have thought it was either East or Pacific, to be honest with you. And everyone doesn't even know what Mountain Time is. No one knows what that means. They're like, yeah, North Dakota or something. Who knows? All right, it's green. It says we're live. I don't see us on YouTube as of right now. Oh yeah, we're live on YouTube.
Cool.
Okay. Tassin, do you see us on the other ones or? Oh, I sound good too.
Well, I went to the four guys and said an error occurred. Please try again
To which one? I see us on YouTube, so.
on YouTube.
Yeah, I definitely see us on there, so. Let me refresh it one more time, maybe.
Yeah, we're up on YouTube. I see that.
Okay, all right. Well, that's the one that really, really matters. I see one person watch us on Beam, so
Yeah.
we must be live on Beam too, I'm guessing. All right. Let's just get started then, I guess. Welcome, everyone, to Four Guys, a Quarters podcast, episode 101 for August 26, 2016. Special Friday edition here at the show. Unfortunately, we couldn't go last night. I had family shit to do. You know how it is. You guys know. Gamers, I know gamers get a bad rap for not being social, but you guys know you got your family shit, you got to do your family shit. So we had to do that. I had to do that last night, so sorry if this is an inconvenient 1 p.m. Eastern start for some people. Hopefully you guys check it out on the replay if you're not here live. If you are here live, thank you very much. We appreciate the support, and hope you guys enjoy the show. Probably going to be a shorter one today. We got a few good topics. Few really heated topics, actually. Assassin's going to get really heated on this one.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so obviously it's in the middle of the day, so Taylor couldn't make it because she's at work. And Clowns couldn't make it because he's doing something with his daughter for school. I guess school just started up in Florida, so he couldn't make it. But making his 101st, I should say, straight appearance. ZPCI Assassin, what's up, bud?
Hi.
Wow.
Great
we
one.
just
Great intro.
yeah, right. I mean, we just gone over the fact that you're going to be really heated about Titanfall. And I'm like, what's going on, Assassin? Hi. Like, and that's it. Like, come on. And joining us this afternoon, making time for us in his busy schedule, we've got Bear Clawed Gaming. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks so much for having me this afternoon, and thanks everybody who can actually make it to this 1 o'clock show. It's a good afternoon for everybody to hang out, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And we would have done it at night, but I'm traveling later on today, so I'm going to be driving for like 7.5 hours, so that's not going to work out. And yeah, I've been really busy lately, and it sucks. But hopefully, once the summer's over, get back to a regular schedule, and not screw around with people's listening preferences, and we'll get back to 7 o'clock on Thursdays. But yeah, we got some topics to talk about. Assassin, what do you want to talk about first? I think we got like 4 topics total, and I know which one you're really heated about. So you want to start with that one first?
Let's do a better one, Battlefield. Let's get that one out of the way.
All right. So people who were awaiting the announcement of Battlefield Premium, Assassin, people were saying, "Oh, when are they going to announce Premium? Premium, is a Battlefield thing. It's always been in Battlefield games. Why haven't they announced it yet?" They finally announced Premium. To the surprise of no one, it is $49.99 in the U.S.
Nope.
And it's pretty ordinary, I'd say. It's pretty much what you'd expect from a Battlefield Premium, right? So you get 2 weeks early access to the expansion packs. You get 16 multiplayer maps total amongst all 4 packs that come with the Premium. You get some new operations, some new game modes, just like in Battlefield 4. They introduced new game modes like Chain Link and stuff like that. You get new elite classes, which I have no idea what that is. So hopefully, it's one of
The
these guys.
flamethrower guy, the guy with the heavy armor, the sniper lady.
Oh, those
It
are
kind
only in
of-
premium.
It kind of seems like they're going to be almost like pickups from Battlefront, maybe? I can't quite tell yet.
Yeah, it's a mix between Battlefield 4 pickups and Battlefront's
Huh.
hero system.
I'm sure that will frustrate some people.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that in a second. Let me just go through the rest of the stuff. 20 new weapons to use, apparently. So Battlefield 4 had new weapons as it went along, but I didn't really associate them with premium. So we'll get into that in a little bit. And also some new vehicles. And what Assassin's favorite thing is, it looks like there's going to be some new campaign stuff. You're going to be able to play as the French and Russian armies, I guess, in campaign. Is that true?
Multiplayer.
It's only multiplayer?
Yeah, because the French and Russians didn't make it into the base game. They wanted to put them as individual DLCs to get them most out of it.
See, I read earlier that there's gonna be like missions that you can do with them in the story.
I haven't heard that, but I mean it's possible.
Yeah, one of the first things I read about, I think they detailed the French expansion, which is coming in March of next year. I think it's called "They Shall Not Pass," which is I'm trying to remember the history of it. I think it was something that a general shouted in French, obviously, at the Battle of Verdun, and I think that's what the first DLC is basically Verdun. I'm not sure about the pronunciation because not French. But
hey, we're Americans here. It's fine.
Right.
We're ignorant.
Right. We'll just shittily pronounce it.
That's right.
That's okay. But yeah, no, it's cool that they're adding the French and Russian armies because they both had significant roles in the war. It's again like any game these days. It feels weird that that kind of content didn't make the base cut. But yeah, it's cool they're adding them post launch, I guess.
Right. So yeah, they're adding that stuff post-launch. I mean, people, I guess people want to play as these different federations. Me personally, when I play Battlefield 4, the U.S. and Chinese, and I didn't really care which side I was on, to be honest with you. It didn't really mean much to me, but I guess in Battlefield 1 it's going to mean more, so for that reason, I guess I'm excited for it. I was more excited for the story stuff, but according to Assassin, that's not a legit thing. Or you haven't heard of that, right?
I haven't heard of it.
I haven't heard of it either.
Okay, so maybe I'm just full of shit as usual.
Maybe.
But yeah, so we went over kind of all the separate things here of what's going to be part of this premium edition, and so I guess in some regards, it's what you'd expect. In some, it's a little bit extra. So, what would you guys say is the most important thing out of these, and what is probably the least important thing? What makes the premium worth $50 and what makes it seem like, okay, they're just tacking on stupid stuff to, make it seem like it's worth $50. Anyone? Assassin?
Yeah.
Bear Claw. Go ahead. No, Claw, go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, I think that this idea of 2 weeks is kind of trivial. I think it's good. Whatever, you're paying for the money, so you might as well get it early. One thing that Assassin and I actually talked about a little bit this week is that Battlefield Hardline did only have 4 expansions. But Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 had 5 expansions for $50. So they're keeping that $50 price tag, but going down to 4 expansions, just like Hardline. So part of me is, and Assassin and I talked about this, the quality of DICE's expansions historically has been very good. But the fact that there's basically 20% less content for the same price does bum me out a little bit. Thankfully, they do have things like the new weapons that are exciting, but I don't know. That's a pet peeve of mine. I know Assassin doesn't think it's as big of a deal, but I don't know.
I think it's a big deal. It's one of the first things I noticed, to be honest with you. I saw 4, and I'm like, 4?
Right.
We're paying $50. 5 better be 5. Because then if you get down to the nitty gritty and you say the $50 is really for the multiplayer stuff, it is a Battlefield game after all. So you're saying $12.50 each if you buy the season pass, and $15 each probably if you don't buy the season pass. It's kind of for me, I'm kind of just okay, well, great, I saved $2.50 per. How does that motivate me other than the 2 weeks early access, which you mentioned, Bear Claw, obviously? How does that benefit me to the point where I want to put that $50 down right away, the price of a full game? Essentially, more than the price of Recore, for instance, on it now, and wait until, when did they say the first one was coming out? March, right?
So well, that's the thing is, despite except for the battle packs, which are nice but aren't worth the money, there really isn't a reason to buy premium until March. And frankly, unless they have some sort of big incentive, I probably won't invest until March, just because historically I'm a big fan of Battlefield. I've played all of them with hundreds of hours logged, but I am gonna hold off on premium until it's like 2 or 3 weeks before the first expansion comes out, because really, what's my incentive to drop $50 in October when I can drop it in March?
Right. You get nothing. And then
right.
And then sometimes, very rarely, I would say, but you get these, Black Friday deals on the Xbox store or on the PlayStation store, or Christmas sales or whatnot. And sometimes, premium, I mean, not necessarily for the newest game, but premium in general will be discounted, a few dollars, 10%, 20 maybe, if you're lucky. And since you're not getting anything before that, like you just alluded to, what the hell's the point? Like, they're just taking that $50. I feel like that this is why I don't really pre-order games that often. They take those $50 and they throw that into a high interest account that they put everyone's pre-orders in. They make a ton of interest off you, and you get nothing out of it, or essentially nothing. I'm saving $2.50 per pack. I mean, it's not worth it for me.
Well, and Assassin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sure you know the details, but to my memory, I held off on the premium until maybe January for Battlefield 4, and I think that you get all the gold packs that you missed just at a later date, right? Like, you just wait
you get everything.
Right, so again, like, if it was like, but if you invest in October, then you get all these gold packs, and if you wait, then you miss out on those gold packs, I would see that as an incentive, but if I can just wait and get the same number of gold packs 6 months down the line, is it really going to make much of a difference? Probably not.
Right. And, I had a friend that did that bought premium, like, really on the cheap before it all went to EA Access and whatever. They got the premium edition. I think it was like $30 or something in Battlefield 4, and they were opening, like, packs for, like, 2 hours.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they got all those eventually, like you guys were just saying. So it really doesn't make any sense to me. They really need to like make it more appealing, and especially, and I didn't want to bring this up quite yet, but I'll just like throw it in there for a quick aside, especially when, games like Halo 5 are giving you so much content for free. You know what I mean? You can argue you're getting the same amount of content from Halo 5, if not more, for free than EA is giving you with this pass, because you're getting new maps, you're getting new game types, you're getting a ton of new weapons, albeit some of them are just skinned differently on Halo, I will admit that, but, you're getting so much with Halo 5 that you're putting this game against that in the Xbox space, and I think you have to offer a compelling benefit beyond what has been the usual for the past, 10 years with Battlefield, or probably even less, but let's just say like past 3 games. I mean, Battlefield 3 had the same thing, Battlefield 4 has the same thing, and now this is going to have the same thing, so.
Right. Even Rainbow Six Siege and Gears of War 4 both have season passes, but the season passes don't include the maps, right? They're like for Rainbow Six, it's you don't have to spend any in-game money or real money on new characters. You get them instantly, and you get them like a week early. And I think that makes for a pretty fair season pass. But I think and Gears of War similarly will have rotating free maps. But I just feel like paying for maps, and maybe this is me coming off as a spoiled gamer, but it just feels like paid maps are honestly becoming a passé former DLC model. But it's weird, right? Because DICE does both. They do the best of both worlds. They'll charge you for a battle pack, but they'll also sell you a $15 season pass, and they're not picking one or the other.
Right.
And that's so it's a little insulting to me as a gamer. If I didn't love Battlefield so much, I'd probably consider skipping it. But what can you do?
Yeah.
Well, from what I've noticed with because I'm looking at the Battlefield site for premium, and like other ones, like maybe I didn't read this right, but there's no server queue priority like the other ones. You don't get battle packs. You don't get. I think Battlefield 4 and Hardline had weekly exclusive content. You're not getting that.
Is there going to be a server browser?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say if there's no server browser, then that would explain the queuing thing.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
Well, there's going to be something different because they're scrapping battle log completely. Or it has already been scrapped, essentially.
They're just putting the server browser in the game for PC players instead of it having something else.
Right.
Huh. Well, it's interesting. Well, and I think this is actually another one of the topics. But it's interesting that Battlefield 4 got its update that's going to, like, have any of you guys seen what the new update does? in
Yep.
Battlefield 4. It's
Very
cool. So
good.
you can migrate your party. We could, the three of us could party up, and we could play Battlefield 4, and we could instantly migrate that party over to Battlefield 1, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a little bit off the topic of Battlefield 1, but
No. I mean, it's definitely related because if there's anything about EA, yeah, they charge a lot of money for some of their stuff. They have a bad rap with that, but I mean, to support this game after 3 years and add a functionality like that, where it's almost assumed, we all have Battlefield 4, we all have Hardline, we all have Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 1 is going to be so drastically different from Battlefield 4 that Battlefield 4 will still be relevant. Assassin and I played Battlefield 4 this morning for a couple hours, or at least an hour, and I was still, having a bunch of fun with it. So it's not like when Battlefield 1 comes out, I'm never going to touch Battlefield 4 again, because the gameplay is just, I played it at E3, it's just so drastically different. And from what you guys seen, you can obviously tell it's a lot different.
Oh yeah.
right.
So to be able to migrate, be like, oh, you want to jump over for a round of Chain Link, or that's a bad example, but like Rush
Good game
on
out,
like Siege of Shanghai or something. Be like, oh yeah, I want to play on that map for a round or whatever. You play on that map for a round, you can migrate your party back to Battlefield 1. You've gotten your modern warfare quote unquote itch, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, so Rock and Roller in our YouTube chat says $49.99 is too much.
Yep, it is. Yeah. Again, I think they should go the Siege route. Or, like, what confuses me, and it's obviously a little bit different because DICE is owned by EA, whereas Respawn with Titanfall is just their kind of partners. Yeah. But I do think it's interesting that people like to say, oh, it's not DICE, it's EA. And it's like, I think it's probably both. Because if Respawn can say, hey, we're not doing a season pass for Titanfall 2, deal with it, EA. There's no reason, or at least to me as a consumer, I don't know the deals, but like to me it feels weird that Titanfall can have no season pass, but Battlefield needs to have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very fair point because, even me I'm guilty of it as well. I've just been doing it for the past 17 minutes or so that I've been blaming EA for some of this stuff. And, DICE obviously goes into these decisions as well because of what you just said. Respawn and EA are partnering. Titanfall 2 is an EA game, but are they going to have something like this? No. Not even like a season pass, right, Assassin?
I think they do have. Is it a season pass, but like it doesn't contain any maps?
Right. Yeah, it's like a weird season pass. It just has like skins and stuff.
It's like which is fine with me. Like if you want it, like even Gears of War Ultimate Edition didn't have a season pass, but they're like, hey, you can pay us $20 for all these weapon skins, and like I personally think that's a dumb investment. But like that's if that's how the developers want to subsidize free map packs, then like do it, like because there are people who buy it, obviously.
Right.
Yep.
Assassin, any more thoughts on this Battlefield 1 stuff? I know you're excited for it. You picked up the Ultimate Edition, which you want to tell us what that is real quick?
It's basically Battlefield 1 with the early enlisters and then the season pass on top of that, $80.
So you get to play it, 8 days earlier? Or because isn't it like 3 days early? 8 days
with EA access.
Right, 8 days with EA access. So you have EA access, right? So 8 days for you, but normally, 3 days early for everyone else? So because there's early enlister on PS4 as well, and there's no EA access on that, so. It's exciting that this is finally coming. August 31st for the open beta for this thing. It's going to be an excited time. Assassin, you want to tell us that info that you were telling me earlier about the duration of that beta that you heard?
Wait, what? Sorry.
The beta for Battlefield 1? How long is that going to be?
Well, I believe they confirmed it on some Battlefield Twitter, but it starts August 31st for normal, 1 day early for whatever email people's, which I think should be like 2 days. And then it goes to, I think, what did I say, the 8th of September.
Mm-hmm. A week of that would be epic. I would have to take off some more.
That being said, one map is a little bit, and I guess I'm just spoiled, right? I absolutely am, but I'm like, one map?
Yeah.
But no, it'll be great. It'll be great. And it's 6 gigs, so hopefully there's a decent amount of unlocks. I guess that's really not how memory works, but it looks cool. 8 days is a lot of time. 1 day early enlister seems a bit trivial, to be frank. Yeah. But like whatever. The earlier you get your hands on the game, whatever, it's looking really good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so look out for that on the 31st. It's right around the corner. 5 days from now. Oh, man. I'm so excited for it. I'm going to download it on, all 3 of my platforms. I'm going Grab it on Xbox, grab it on PS4, grab it on PC.
One more time, Inferno. What's the screen size on that monitor you got? What's its resolution? You like to say it, so
3440 by 1440p.
Yeah, that's what you like to say. All right, I just thought I'd give you a chance to reiterate.
I'm sure I'll be getting 100 frames per second on my PC. No big deal though. Right, Assassin?
Yeah, no big deal.
Ultra graphics, anti-aliasing, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Sure. But where will your friends be? Huh?
No, that's why I'm gonna play it more on Xbox, like for damn sure. Yeah, and I'll play a few rounds on the PS4. I get some friends over there that, hit me up every once in a while looking to play stuff and what have you. So, I will say though, play Battlefield 4 with Assassin for a few rounds today. I was like, yuck! I had to play it on my PC. This is brutal.
Yeah.
All right, how about a quick one, real quick, a quick note, going from Battlefield to Call of Duty. So, I don't know if you guys saw, but Call of Duty 2 is now backwards compatible on Xbox One. Kind of a weird Call of Duty. Everyone's clamoring, oh, Modern Warfare 2, oh, Modern Warfare, or even World at War, or whatever. Give us some stuff. Anything after Modern Warfare 1, essentially, give us that. And then they go all the way back to an Xbox 360 launch title, and they do Call of Duty 2, which I'm sure is the result of a long negotiation with Activision, and Activision digging their feet, and Microsoft being like, you know what, give us this one. And they're like, yeah, whatever. It's from 2005. It looked like crap. It ran like crap. And now it's on the Xbox One, and, I usually don't, talk up Digital Foundry too much because I don't necessarily agree with everything they do, but they did an awesome comparison video on this to show that the frame rates are way more stable. Yep. The Xbox One version. It's like never dips. And the Xbox 360, I remember walking into, I think it was like Toys R Us, I played it that first time. I was like, wow, this looks damn good. But the frame rates were chugging when there was a lot of action, especially a lot of smoke and alpha effects. I distinctly remember the frame rate chugging, but I was so excited for 360 I didn't even give a shit. And but this one really smooth. So you guys gonna give this one another go, or what do you guys think of this?
Assassin?
I want to, but it's like $20.
Oh, you don't have a copy?
No, I do not have a copy. The only Call of Duty games I don't own is 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
The second one's actually good. Like the campaign on this is pretty good.
It's good.
I don't know if I'd play it again. It's probably very, very dated. I mean, who am I kidding? I'm going to my library to take this out. I live in Boston. There's libraries that rent games, that loan games all over the place, and I'm pretty sure they have a copy of this. So I'm gonna go grab it, play through the campaign. Hey, it's another 1,000 gamer score, right?
Yep. Also, I don't know if I'm like in a popular, I don't know if this is a popular stance, but like Call of Duty 2 actually had some really good, like I think it was maybe 4-on-4 multiplayer. Maybe it's been a while. Maybe it was 3-on-3. But it was like super strong, really good stuff. God, I don't remember any of the names anymore, but like I used to have so many good, even like local co-op, like sniper battles on that game. No, I don't know. This game gives me a lot of nostalgia. I don't know if I'm even going to put it in my disc drive, but just knowing that I can play it if I ever want to is a little bit exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm not really like, an Xbox fanboy to the fact where I want to talk down on Sony because, I do own a PlayStation, so, I do enjoy that. Not as much as my Xbox, but I do enjoy it from time to time. But, I mean, you got to consider that this stuff is coming out on the Xbox and it's not coming out on the PlayStation. And people, like the prime demographic for these consoles, are nostalgic for this stuff. I mean, yeah, it may be dated, but the people that you're selling to are the people who played this and had the reactions that I kind of had for this kind of game. So, and like what you said, Bear Claw, like you remember, good, solid multiplayer that's probably dated as hell, but you'd be willing to like check it out perhaps and be like, wow, I remember this was really cool, and give it some playtime. And that's what Microsoft wants. It's a value add.
Right.
Let me go to the chat real quick on YouTube. Supersonic Station says, I want Call of Duty 3 so I can run people over with my motorcycle in multiplayer.
Yeah, COD 3 was when they kind of they almost dabbled in Battlefield grounds a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a game.
That was special. That's probably my least favorite, but I do remember the multiplayer, the motorcycles. That was a little much for me. But I mean, Modern War, it's hard because that was the one right before MW, Call of Duty 4. So, that looked like such shit compared to Call of Duty 4 when that came along. Kind of revolutionized the shooter genre, if you will. Assassin, thoughts about Call of Duty 2, bud? You gonna if it wasn't $20, if it wasn't $20, like it goes on sale for $5, you gonna grab it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like that's what happens with these backwards compatibility games. Like they'll go on sale just to get people to buy them. I mean, look what happened with Red Dead, $7.50 for that.
Yep.
Definitely worth it. Supersonic Station also says they need to lower the price of COD 2. $20 a little expensive. Yeah, we were just talking about that.
That's Activision for you, though.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, like Nintendo, they never mark down their games. Or at least they never mark down the Call of Duty games. Frankly, they probably make enough keeping them at $20. Like, for every person that's like, ooh, that's too much, there's always one nostalgic person who's like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, but that's the reality of it.
And also, J1976 says, actually never played this one. You got to get on that, son.
Yep.
Gotta get on that.
You're an assassin.
All right, another quick... Actually, we already did the Battlefield 4 thing. So, yeah, Battlefield 4... What? Go ahead, Assassin.
I just said yep.
Oh, yeah. So, we went over the Battlefield 4 thing. If you guys weren't here and missed it, BF4 got a UI change. Go check it out. It looks a lot different. If you haven't played that game in a while, I suggest you go back to it. Runs a lot better. The menu's a lot better. Very responsive. Doesn't crash the dashboard like it used to. If you guys have left it on the shelf for, a year or two and haven't gone back to it, I really do recommend going back to it. Does it look great? No, definitely not. It doesn't look as good as Halo and stuff like that, but it's great. It's still very good. So I recommend people go back to that and check out that new UI change.
Are there any outside of like the menu UI? Is there anything within the game, like actual gameplay, that's changed?
They said there wasn't, but Assassin swears it looks better on his TV. Right, Assassin? Is that what you said?
I swear it looks not it's PC looking, but I swear it looks a little bit better.
You think DICE would optimize their engine for the Xbox One? Oh, come on. Living in a fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Frostbite
will never be optimized.
Never be good. Yeah.
Well, isn't FIFA Frostbite, and it's running at 1080p on Xbox?
Yeah, FIFA, dude.
Yep.
So, it's still...
Okay, you got me then. You got me. Good job,
right.
BCI Assassin. That's 101 episodes of experience right there. 101 episodes straight right there. All right, last thing on this Call of Duty from the YouTube chat. Not an Activision fan, but they put Black Ops on sale when that went backwards compatible, says Seth Brog or Brog. You're right, yeah. I mean, there's an example. And like we were just saying, when the stuff goes backwards compatibility, they usually drop the price a little bit. So, so look out for that. Definitely don't buy it at 20. That's a waste.
No.
All right, Sassy, you want to go Titanfall now? Big guy.
Sure.
All right. Titanfall 2, for those living under a rock, had a tech test, and it was pre-alpha. A lot of people had it confused with beta. A lot of people, admittedly, it's easy to do. I mean, it's not stupidity. It's not ignorance. It's easy to do because of the marketing that goes on, and people that don't understand, the process of, alpha and beta testing and the different stages of development. So, pre-alpha means it's a build way before even alpha, and then before beta, and then before release. So it's really like 3 iterations away from release. So you guys got to keep that in mind when you see problems with it. And Respawn and EA proved that that's exactly what this is, because in a week they've already made a lot of changes, which we'll get to in a second. But before we get to this weekend's resuming of the tech test, because that was last weekend, they made the changes, and now effective today, already live, you can go back on Titanfall 2 and play the tech test on your PS4 and Xbox One. So yeah, let's get quick impressions from you guys. I know we talked about this last week, but Bear Claw wasn't here. So Bear, what was your impressions of weekend 1 of the tech test?
So weekend 1, I know that we talked a little bit in parties about it, but for everybody here, I thought that it was an all right game. If I had not played Titanfall 1, I think I would have really, really, really liked it. And the thing is it gets kind of talked up a lot, especially on Twitter, of all these big changes that have happened. And what really has happened is they've made several minute changes, and those minute changes kind of what led to something feel a little bit off. And I think that totally is something that I noticed. I don't like, and they did change this, I think, last weekend, the way Titans interact. Their shields don't exist. They're a little bit slower. You have to get kills to get them, which I think they changed.
Yep.
It's okay. The motion stuff, they talked about that in their patch. They've kind of fixed some of that, and we'll fix it going on to launch. But I did feel like it was harder to keep your momentum going. But it's it's a tech test, right? It's really hard to be continually critical of something that isn't coming out for 2 months, but we'll see.
And essentially everything you hit on right there for your impressions were brought up by a good majority of the community, and Respawn's addressed that. We'll get into the nitty gritty in a second, but yeah, I mean, Respawn has addressed a lot of those issues so far, which is a good thing. Like, that's what this is. That's why it is a tech test. That's why it's pre-alpha. Assassin, thoughts on weekend 1, and maybe thoughts about how people are reacting to this kind of thing.
Okay, so I love Titanfall 2. Like, really, 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 really like Titanfall 2 so far. I think personally it plays almost identical to Titanfall 1. I've said this on day 1, which people somehow still don't believe me. I did say it's a little bit slower. You don't jump as high, you don't run as fast. But, I mean, that could be a thing because of the maps, because, like, Titanfall 1, if you go to Angel City, you can, run across the map. In this one, it's more open. You can't kind of keep that wall running like everyone seems to be used to, which I recommend go play Lagoon, because there's barely any wall running, and it plays almost exactly like Titanfall 2. What else? A lot of people are saying this is Call of Duty. Please go play Advanced Warfare. Black Ops 3 does not play anything like this.
Yeah, I played. Sorry to interrupt, but I played Black Ops 3 the other day on my PlayStation, and it's a lot different. I mean, it's a lot different. I don't know. It's for people that say it's people want it faster, but then again they complain about COD being twitchy. You know what I mean? Like, they say it's like COD, but then COD's too twitchy, and then this is too slow. Like, which one is it? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So go ahead, Assassin.
Yep.
Where else should I go? Now I lost my train of thought. You want to go ahead in front of us so I can remember what I was saying?
Yeah, you're a goon. I'll get to the chat while you think about that. So the J1976 says grappling hook's nice. He agrees with Bear Claw. It should be a little bit faster. So yeah, from the first tech test, I haven't used the grappling hook in the second one yet, in this weekend's. But the first tech test, and when I played at E3, for absolutely the first thing I noticed is that the grappling hook is a little slow.
Yep. Well, and that's what's so weird about it, right? Is because like when you hear grappling hook, when you hear Titanfall, it's like, yes, that should work. Like, this should work really, really well, and it does. But it's just weird. Like I actually felt like I lost speed wall running. Like, if I was wall running and then I tried to grapple a Titan, I felt like I lost speed doing that. When in reality, it feels like it should be something that, and I guess it's maybe just like video games have trained you that, like, grappling hooks go fast, but
yes.
It feels more like rock climbing. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like your guy is literally climbing up a rope as opposed to like getting sucked into it.
Yes, exactly.
But I think the grappling hook is a really great dynamic, and I love that I think you latch onto people and you can launch into them, and I think that's cool. It's an interesting way to do melee, and I think it adds to the game. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm. And another quick complaint that I had from Tech Test 1, I'm not sure if it's in this weekend's, but the ability for pilots to grapple onto Titans and be essentially invulnerable needs to be changed. If I see if I'm facing a pilot and a pilot grapples to me and sucks into me, I should be able to melee that person off of their grappling hook. But every time I do that, I melee,
you have to time it right,
and I miss. I've never hit it. The window must be so small because I can never do it.
Yeah.
A lot of times you gotta like punch where they're not, and then like your hand and the body will connect. And
because like when Titans, like from Titanfall 1, right? Titans are running around you, like, scampering around you because you're in a Titan. You're gonna stomp on them. You're gonna melee them or whatever. I'm so used to looking down, them being a certain distance from me, and I'm meleeing them. Okay, and they go into a million bits, and that's a satisfying feeling. But in this, like, at that same distance and that same appearance to me of closeness, I go and I melee them and I miss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Like there are again, that's like one of those minute changes, right? Where it's like it just feels like there was like somehow they just managed to get these really small details to feel perfect in the first one, and like it almost just I don't know. There's something that just bothers me where it's a little bit different, and I can't put my finger down on it. Like one of my big things that I didn't like was that I liked in Titanfall 1 how you could just shoot the shields down with your gun when you climb on their back, and now you just kind of pull out their shield, and then after that you can subsequently throw grenades in, and like that's okay, but it leads to repetitive animations that I'm not super fond of. I don't know. Are you guys okay with the new rodeo system?
I'm not a huge rodeoer in general when it comes to enemy titans. I didn't usually do that, so I'm really a bad judge of it. But with friendly titans, I mean, it's essentially the same. So I can't really speak on it, and I don't know why I went first here. So Assassin, please redeem me, please.
Personally, I love it and hate it. I mean, yes, it's repetitive. You know, you chuck a grenade, you hop off, you hop back on, you do it again and again and again and again. And it's really boring and it's very annoying to get them off. But I think they said that in the full game, there's going to be more defense abilities on your Titan, not just your smoke.
Which is a damn good thing, because that smoke sucks.
Yep.
Well, if a guy hops on your Titan, you pop that. I mean, if they're in the middle of the animation, either they can jump off or they're dead. They can't get that grenade off or the battery out.
Oh no, I agree. The smoke is good for deterring the battery thing. Okay, I will agree with you there, but I'm used to the old Titanfall where if I pop that and they're in it for like 2 seconds, they're dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's electric smoke. It's not just like, secondhand smoke out in the street from someone's cigarette, dude. It is electric smoke. It should kill you within 2 seconds. And I mean like 0, 1, 2. Like that isn't long enough time. If you're in that smoke, you're dead. I think you should be dead. So.
Well, and I think they were more deadly on the Titans in Titanfall 1. And again, this is all from memory. It's been a while since I played Titanfall 1. But to my memory, I would use the smoke, even if I were being chased by 2 Titans, I would drop a smoke and pull back. And like that smoke was enough to deter at least one of them from coming through. Just because the electric smoke was terrible for the Titans, too. Whereas now it's basically like walking through barbed wire in like a video game where like you just kind of go a little bit slower. Like it's more annoying than anything else.
Yeah.
It still hurts you a good amount.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something that wasn't quite clicking for me. Again, I'm interested in jumping back into it for weekend 2. Just a quick thing. Do you guys think, and obviously I don't think it's going to happen, I think EA has put a lot of money into this. Do you think the game could benefit from being delayed to, say, February or March? Or do you think this is pre-alpha, this is an old build, and they can have it up and running by October?
Well, from what I heard from some inside sources, which will not be named for their protection, this build is at the latest from mid-June.
Okay.
The first tech test was from mid-June. And then, they kind of are building on it from there. But they have other stuff in the pipeline. I don't know about tech test weekend 2, how old that build is. Those numbers in the bottom left for the build numbers mean absolutely nothing to us lay people. Obviously, they have their internal numbers that mean something for real, but those numbers are just for us to be essentially brainwashed to think that is what the build number is, but it's not. Just like when people, I was just talking in chat with Evil Earn about this, while you guys were talking about the grappling hook and all that stuff. Pre-alpha doesn't mean, if it gets released today, that doesn't mean the build was made yesterday.
Right.
And people have got to be, I know you guys know this, but for people that may be listening and don't really know the progression system of the build system, like pre-alpha, alpha, pre-beta, beta, you know what I mean? That they think that some people will think that it was built that yesterday and then they're just putting it out for test. It's not like that with big games, definitely not.
Right.
So to your question though, it's definitely an interesting question. I think the only reason they would benefit from a delay is because of how stacked this year is with shooters. Yep. But other than that, I think it's nearly ready to go. I think as long as it's supported with new maps and attrition is still there and we haven't seen nearly all the maps and stuff, I think it's fine.
Is Bounty meant to replace attrition? I feel like Assassin might know this one.
That's what I've been hearing.
That's what I had heard too. Huh.
I hope not.
I certainly hope not.
Bounty Hunt's good.
If it has, then I think the game's done. Because I think when people think Titanfall 2, they think attrition, as much as they liked AI or not. As much as they like grunts and specters or not. I think attrition is what people identify with Titanfall. Like, obviously Titans, but... Go ahead, Assassin, I'm sorry.
It was like their, TDM, because, if you go to any Call of Duty these days that is old, TDM is the one thing that's popular, so...
Right. Exactly, yeah. So, if attrition's gone, this is going to fail out of the gate. And if they don't have it ready, it should be delayed. Yeah. In my opinion. Assassin, I know you might feel differently about this.
Well, as much as I love Titanfall, I feel like Battlefield is like the big giant that's just going to fucking crush it.
Sadly.
So...
And EA, from the people I spoke to at EA Play back in June, they were totally content with positioning this at the same time as Battlefield, because they honestly and truly, and I don't know if this was just PR speak, but they made believers out of me that they actually thought that they were in two different realms and two different play spaces. That you had your Titanfall Twitch shooter kind of fans, and you have your Battlefield 1 realistic simulation war kind of fans, and that because of how vastly different the settings are, with Titanfall being very futuristic, very sci-fi, and Battlefield being extremely on the opposite end with realism and old school weapons and World War One, they honestly think that it's gonna be two different games that people are gonna buy both, and I don't know if I agree with that, because people are spreading their money amongst different genres and stuff.
Yep. Well, and considering, and again, I don't mean to harp on it too much, but considering for $10 more, or I guess for $10 less, you can get Battlefield Premium or Titanfall 2, like, it makes it a tough sell, right? Like, it's I don't know, I mean, they think they're not going to cannibalize themselves, but there's no way they're not going to, at least with some consumer base.
Right.
Yeah, it's insane. Also, I don't mean to pull a classic Inferno here, but somebody in chat wants to talk about burn cards. That's something I forgot about, and I think that's totally worth talking about a little bit.
You're absolutely right. I was about to bring that up myself. Yeah, you're right. You just pulled an Inferno, because I was about to say that. Supersonic Station coming with the good questions this week. Wants to know what we think of no burn cards anymore, and I'm personally okay with it, like I just said in chat, but I'm not convinced those aren't going to make a comeback at some point. If not game-wide, maybe for a certain subset of game modes, potentially, from what I've heard. I'm not convinced that it's not coming back.
You sound like you've heard something.
I mean, I can't say.
Okay.
But okay. I've heard something that maybe they'll make a comeback. But it's not definite at all. It's definitely not, coming back game wide from what I've heard. But potentially in certain game modes.
Huh. Okay.
But
yeah, it's a weird thing to leave out of your beta, though, right? Or again, I'm using the wrong terminology. It's a weird thing to leave out of your tech test.
Yeah. No, it definitely is, because especially when this is the first, for most people out there, let's be real, this is the first experience they're getting with Titanfall 2. A lot of people didn't go to E3, obviously. A lot of people didn't go to Gamescom and whatnot. So, like, this is their first chance playing it, and so, what they say in psychology, a first impressions, everything.
Yep.
So that's why, even though we'll get to in a second the changes for Tech Test Weekend 2, some people got a bad impression and they're not gonna buy it potentially, because first impressions everything, and so not having burn cards and then putting them back in may be a disaster for sure. Maybe a disaster.
Yep, we'll see.
Assassin, thoughts?
Personally, I wasn't a big fan of the burn cards. I was the person who kind of hoarded all the Titan ones, the Strider, Ogre, Atlas, whatever, and then the Spectre ones, and I just hoarded them and discarded everything else.
Right.
So.
I think that's what it was. I think the analytics kind of showed that not enough people were using them effectively. You know what I mean? Because they were cool and there was a very new thing, especially for the genre, to use something like that. But at the same time, if you've got metrics that, say like 65 to 70% of the users weren't using them correctly and they were just selling them or whatnot, you know what I mean? Then why go to the effort of implementing it, even though you've already done it in Titanfall 1? People mistake that, I think, not necessarily in this genre, but I know like in sports games, people are like, oh, why are they delaying a sports game? Like, or, oh, why does it take so long for sports games to come out? And some people are pissed that it's once a year instead of like refreshing it more often or something. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, you can't just port all the code and just update the rosters and there you go. Like, changes do have to be made. And with the burn cards, they've changed so much of the other stuff in Titanfall 2 that you can't just throw them in and say, "Oh, there you go." Like, here's your Titanfall. Here's your Titan.
But like off the top of my head, like something where like if they didn't want to adjust the grappling hook, like having a burn card that makes your grappling hook more like faster, or like there's a way they could do it. But I also agree that like especially if there are going to be less AI or frankly less intelligent AI based on week 1, I think that there will be some I don't know if they'll be quite as necessary. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm very skeptical of this game, and I wish I wasn't because before last weekend, like I was totally sold. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. We'll see. Assassin's just gotta harp on me for like weeks, and then I'll eventually just agree that it's good, and then buy it.
Every day, I just send you a bunch of positive Titanfall YouTube videos.
There you go. Right. Make sure you guys are if you're looking for some positivity around the Titanfall space, make sure you follow Assassin. Look at his information below his face there on the video version to follow his various social outlets because he does post a lot about Titanfall. A lot of hearts going on with the Titanfall posts lately and smiley faces and stuff from you.
Yeah.
Assassin.
Yeah.
So yeah, we talked a lot about Titanfall. And we kind of alluded to the stuff coming, in weekend 2, but we've got a little slideshow here with a little bit of particulars for what is being changed. If people haven't caught the patch notes over, on the Titanfall webpage, which admittedly I don't know what it is exactly off the top of my head. Just Google like Titanfall patch notes or Titanfall 2 patch notes, and you'll find it if you want to take your time and read them and not read them off the slideshow or whatnot. But essentially they kind of broke it down into 4 categories of stuff, or 5 categories that they've changed. 4 of them being Xbox One related. One of the other ones is only PlayStation related. So time to kill, mobility. Sorry. I'm still getting over a cough here. Time to kill, mobility, Titan timer, bounty hunt, and technical fixes just for the PlayStation 4 controller. So Assassin, you want to go over a couple of these, or?
Well, you have the notes right there. Might as well.
Okay, all right. So time to kill, so amp weapons got nerfed. It's going to take longer to get amped weapons now. People are complaining you got amped weapons way too quickly. So now instead of 50% of your meter turning into amp weapons, it's going to take 80% of your Titan meter. Charged rifles won't shoot all the way across the map. So if you use the charged Titan rifle for your Titan weapon, you're not going to be able to kill somebody from literally the other corner of the map. What else? I don't have the notes right in front of me, but I can't think of the other one. Oh, there it is. Slightly increased cloak visibility for other pilots, which I've never seen anyone cloaked. So,
no.
Well, because cloak, you had to buy it, which it's now available now if you level up, but.
Right.
Yep. Well, and everybody is pretty much picking that. Isn't it like class basic? Only one character can do the zip line, and the grappling. So everyone's been using the grappling character. At least that's what I was noticing in the first weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what it is. And then, in the first weekend, Cloak was like Assassin was just saying, like behind a huge wall of
you had to grind to
currency.
Get it.
Yeah, exactly. What else? So yeah, mobility stuff is what everyone was complaining about. They have touched up on that. So the wall running speed is increased. Kind of like what you were saying before, Bear, about losing your momentum. That's kind of been addressed. Because the bouncing from wall to wall, the chaining of wall running actually increases your speed like it did from Titanfall 1. Also, your airspeed is greatly increased. I've seen that in a couple instances. I only played one match with Assassin before this podcast, and yeah, the airspeed is very much increased.
Yeah.
Like, especially when they eject out of a Titan. Holy Jesus. Like, I could gun in the first tech test, like, I could line someone up and just gun them down with a charge rifle, no problem. But now, like, they're up in the air, they're like all all over the place. I'm just like, oh Jesus, Titanfall 1 all over again.
Which is I like, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah. No, too much for you, too fast.
yeah, it's definitely too fast. I like the change.
Okay.
What else, Assassin?
Um,
Titan dashes. You can do
yeah, they increased that by
the
or
cooldown.
decreased seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they didn't address the lack of AI characters, did they?
Nope,
No.
they have not. But
Which is interesting.
That is interesting, and I don't think the reason for that is I'm not sure that that's as easy a fix to tweak. You know what I mean? Like, I think the speed, like airspeed, is really only like a couple lines of code if I understand correctly. I'm not trying to trivialize it, but I'm just trying to like kind of allude to the fact that it's probably easier to go to those lines of code. Oh well, that's set to 10. All right, let's bump that up to 15. Whereas with the AIs, they have to have more characters on screen and
right
the interaction between AIs.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely not. I didn't expect a fix. I just was curious if they had said hey, we noticed that you guys don't like that there's only 6 AI on the screen at once, so we're gonna fix that at launch. I was just expecting some sort of acknowledgement, but again, it could be what I think Assassin and I talked about, maybe just in party chat last weekend, where going forward, maybe just certain modes will be AI centric. We'll have to see.
Right.
Yeah.
The other big ones I'll go over just really quickly. So something that we all complained about, I think, that they adjusted, and I think very much so for the better, that I think will appease a lot of gamers, is that now the Titan builds gradually over time again. Like from Titanfall 1, you don't have to get kills or do objective based gameplay. Like if you get, if you're at one of the drop zones for Bounty Hunt and you get that grunt kill stolen from you, and that's what you need to build your Titan, you're going to get pissed. Because that's the only way you can build your Titan. But now, every 5 seconds the Titan meter goes up a little bit. So it's not gradually every single second, but every 5 seconds you get a little boost. So I think that's a welcome change. And then Bounty Hunt was decreased from 6,000 to 5,000 for the max score limit because a lot of people were having problems actually finishing those games, which I think is ridiculous.
Me personally, they should play the objective. I mean, It's not that hard.
That's right. And that's why sometimes you'll see a match with only 4,000 points out of 6,000 because you got too many people sitting off sniping and stuff, or sitting in there Titan on the outskirts just trying to pick off pilots. Get to the end of the match, please. It's ridiculous. Banking phases are now only 45 seconds instead of a minute. Definitely a welcome change because I remember banking all my stuff and just waiting around for the next wave to happen. Other than that, Assassin. Oh, the technical fix for the PlayStation 4 controller was just a dead zone problem on the outer of the joystick. When the joystick hit the right or left side or whatever, there was a little bit of a dead zone problem, and now they've addressed that for people on PlayStation 4. I did happen to notice that myself when I did the tech test. Is that the movement was much less touchy on the PlayStation controller than the Xbox, and I kind of just attributed that to the fact that the DualShock 4 kind of sucks. But that's not why it was.
And quick slam.
That's not why it was, I guess. So, they did address that, and I'm curious to see if I get home in time for my family thing. I will try it out before Sunday ends, hopefully, on the PlayStation. But so, what do you guys think? Maybe pick a thing to that you think is the best of these improvements. Maybe, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Totally, the rapid response to the speed issues, right? That's and I think that's what makes me confident that hopefully they can hit that 2-month timeline that they're on right now. Is that within a week they're like, okay, you guys don't like the movement speed, we're gonna amp it up. And I haven't played yet today. I'm optimistic that they've kind of gotten some of the more Titanfall mechanics back from the original. I think their ability to address mobility is Wow, is interesting. It's interesting, and it makes me optimistic for launch.
Yeah, and having a week to change a lot of this stuff and actually doing it, very, very optimistic for change. And I think the people that kind of wrote it off from the first tech test, I think you should go back and try it again and kind of have faith that maybe not pre-order the game because I already mentioned on the show that I'm kind of against that, but on in most cases I'm against that, but I think you should go back and check it out and maybe not write it off quite yet. because they're obviously addressing the issues and they obviously care about what people say. So,
Yep.
Assassin, thoughts on these adjustments?
I mean, I loved the game before it. So I guess the Titan build comes every few seconds to people who can't shoot stuff. But I mean, you got if you actually played the game for Bounty Hunt, I could time this. You could get it in less than 40 seconds. You're Titan. And I don't know why all these stupid videos, pictures, like, oh, there's no Titans in Titanfall. How about you actually play the fucking game and open your eyes?
Yeah, and now with
Jesus.
the Titan, now with the Titan timer going up, I mean, there's even more Titans. Like I distinctly remember in Bounty Hunt going like 4-on-4 Titan action. Like there were a lot of Titans. So for people who say there aren't Titans, I mean, I gotta watch a video of your gameplay or like know exactly what Ganji is smoking, because I honestly saw a lot of Titans, and I every match I have a Titan. Like, it's not like I go through a match and don't have one, or two even. So I mean, it could be, granted, the Titan thing was skill based at one point. In the first tech test weekend, it was completely skill based, and now they're giving that Titan timer boost every 5 seconds, which is a good thing. So hopefully.
Well,
okay.
The reason I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, please.
The reason I think that's a good idea to change it back the way it was is because one of the things that I think made people say, oh, it's like Call of Duty. And first of all, I don't think that's a great argument. But second, I think that when you made it entirely skill-based, I think you make people think about kill streaks again. And I don't have a problem with the kill streak system, but it's just synonymous with Call of Duty. And so I think moving back to this timer-based thing that's then amplified by your performance, I think is a comfortable middle ground that I can get down with, at least.
Exactly, yeah. Because that's the thing. Like, Titanfall 1 came out a couple years ago, and ever since you've noticed, a couple Call of Duties copying what Titanfall's done. It's impossible not to notice that these things have copied a lot of mechanics from Titanfall 1. So now Titanfall 2 has to work extra hard to differentiate itself from these games, and evidently it's not working, because people are saying on Twitter, and some people make decently good arguments for it, although I don't necessarily agree with everything they say about it being like Titanfall. People who've said that it hasn't done enough in 2.5 years of work, to make it a lot different from Titanfall 1, I tend to agree with that. I mean, you expect over 2.5 years to get a huge upgrade and a lot of different mechanics, and I feel like I agree with Maka, Maka on TXR, one of my TXR podcast mates over there. He said it's not 2.5 years of progress.
Yep. Yeah, and I agree, right? Like, well, that's the thing with Call of Duty that we've come to expect, is because it's a yearly iteration, they'll have some of the mechanics from the last game a little bit different, but largely because they have such quick turnaround, even though they're from different developers, we expect minor changes from game to game. And when you have a 3-year life cycle, or I guess 2.5-year life cycle like Titanfall has had, it just feels like so incremental when it should feel like a leap forward. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
One thing I think that they would totally benefit from this game is do an open beta like 2 weeks before launch, just to show, and like not give people a build from June, like give them a current build 2 weeks before launch, because I think right now the general consensus isn't extremely positive, and if they can make those changes, I almost think a beta could be a saving grace. But again, I'm talking out my ass. I don't know how game development works. We'll see.
No, even if you're just like showing people that it's changed a lot, and that you make absolutely no changes from that beta. You don't use that beta for any change reasons. You just show people.
Yep.
I tend to agree with you, because beta, when people think beta, they think demo now, because demos are kind of a thing of
right.
Demos don't really exist anymore like they did on the old consoles. So now you got beta in its place. So even if just for a demo purpose, I think that would be a good idea for sure.
Yep. Well, and I think even the biggest, most recent example I can think of it, I wish I could just put it in the chat right now, but I have to look for it, is like back in June 7th, actually, because I looked at the tweet earlier, Rod Ferguson tweeted out a screenshot from the Gears beta, and then what the game looked like on May 31st, which is basically like a 30-day difference. And it's like this monumental development difference, like better lighting, better graphics, etc. Mm-hmm. And obviously, like, Titanfall's issues aren't graphics. I mean, they're not great, but the core issue is gameplay. But if they can just show us, once a month a new gameplay video, anything to kind of reassure some of the qualms that people have had with this tech test. I guess the good thing is they have one direction to go, and that's up as far as public opinion goes, and I think that's hopefully easy for them to calibrate for.
Right. Assassin, any last words on Titanfall?
If you're basing the game, I've seen a lot of tweets on this, on the network issue of inviting people, saying it sucks because of that one issue. And you're saying, like, I'm not going to buy Titanfall 2. Please remember the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 beta. I mean, the servers didn't work for like 3 days.
Right.
It's probably still bought it. So quit your bitching. Please.
Mooch in the chat, in the YouTube chat, makes a decent point. He says there was never camping in Titanfall, now it's everywhere in Titanfall 2. Don't you guys see that this is how the game has changed? And I agree with you, Mooch. There is a lot of camping. But
especially for Hardpoint, I noticed especially.
Well, Hardpoint's just like domination. You cap 2 flags and you just sit there and have a beer and shoot some people.
Right, and I think one of the reasons people are noticing that more is not necessarily because Titanfall 2 is more of a campy game. I think it's because we've seen Hardpoint, Bounty Hunt, and Pilot versus Pilot, and 2 out of those 3 game modes definitely lend themselves to camping. No matter what the game is, it could be Sesame Street, Modern Warfare, or it could be Titanfall 2. If you've got those 2 modes, there's going to be camping because those are just the way. Like you're going to camp the deposit area because you don't want people to deposit money. You're going to camp, area A and B because you want to get the kills on the grunts to build up your money. Right. Whereas attrition on Titanfall 1 doesn't really lead itself to camping.
Right. Well, and I think with time to kill, wasn't time to kill slightly longer in Titanfall 2? Isn't that kind of what they talked about in their post notes? So my idea is if time to kill is longer, then you're going to want to stay in one spot because that way you don't have to focus on movement. You can stay planted and just focus on tracking and shooting someone. Whereas if time to kill is shortened, you can keep moving and just do a quick burst and then keep going. And maybe that will lend itself to quicker momentum. Again, I'm interested to see how the mobility changes this weekend have changed my perception.
Right.
Yep.
Assassin, anything about the camping issue before we move on?
People will camp no matter what game you play. I mean, people camp in Minecraft, Call of Duty, Battlefield.
But people don't really camp that much in attrition. So I understand where people are coming from. But then again, if you camp in attrition, you're gonna lose. You're flat out gonna lose because that's not what that game mode's about.
Right.
That game mode is literally about, and just like team deathmatch as well, like on Call of Duty, like you see a lot less camping on some of the newer Call of Duties because these maps are way bigger. Like remember the old Call of Duties, you'd see a lot more camping because the maps were a lot smaller, and these ones, like with the exception of what's the map in Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Assassin that I hate on the ship that you absolutely love?
It was Hijack, but I think it's Skyjack.
Yeah. Other than that map, I feel like I don't see a ton of camping in Black Ops 3 because the maps are so much bigger, and you'd lose. I feel like you'd lose. So, I think it has a lot more to do with the game mode than it does the game.
Right.
But then again, kind of their fault for not putting attrition in this to show that that's not part of the game. You know what I mean? They kind of maybe they should have seen that ahead of time, but.
Yep.
All right, Titanfall 2. That was long in the tooth.
We exhausted it.
That was long in the tooth right there. But we got one more topic, and it's gonna be a quick one. So, don't you people worry. PlayStation Plus, their old motto over at Sony, and I am a PlayStation Plus member. So, and you are too, no, Bear Claw? You have a PlayStation?
I have a PS4. My subscription I think lapsed in June, so I'm 2 months out of it.
Oh, right.
Right, and there aren't in the fall I'll definitely re-up, but right now there's nothing, especially PlayStation Plus wise, that I feel like I'm missing that I want to re-up for. Right. But yes, I generally am a subscriber.
Right. So I mean, we pay for this stuff, so I feel like we can say this stuff. It's not like we're just bashing Sony, but. I can't help but look at their old slogan, their old advertisement material that we're displaying now on the show. Play more, pay less, right? That was their advertisement. You pay less than Xbox Live, or before when PlayStation, when PSN was free, and then they came out with PlayStation Plus and they charged a little bit of money, they made the note that it's still cheaper than Xbox Live, right? So play more, pay less. Well, now you're paying more. You're paying $10 to $20 more, depending on your region. So US is 10. I think it's 20 more in Canada. And nothing has really changed in the service as far as I know. Maybe they have something in the pipeline. I don't know. But as of right now, nothing has changed. They haven't announced anything has changed. They're just like, surprise, charging $10 more. So what do you guys think? Is this going to be a disaster for Sony, or are people not even going to give a shit?
So here's my thing. I don't think it's a big deal. And the reason I don't think it's a big deal is because, and this is me, and there are people who buy directly from the source, but I can't remember the last time I bought Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus directly from the store. I find it online for $38 typically. And I'm sure those prices will change because they're going to react to whatever the new price is, but I never will pay full price. I just never do. That being said, I think that a smart move would be, hey, we're going to introduce a third model on top of, like this is a terrible name, but if they did a PlayStation Plus and it was $5 more and it included a subscription to PlayStation Now,
yes,
that would work. That would, because there are games on there that I missed. I never owned a PS3, so there are certain games that I missed last generation that I would love to catch up on.
Right.
But PlayStation Now by itself is too expensive. So I almost feel like without introducing any more service, I don't feel like I am as compelled to re-up in the fall, personally. But Assassin or Inferno, whatever your opinions are.
Assassin, go ahead.
I don't even have a PlayStation anymore. But I mean, people are going to complain right now because it's obviously it's price change, but then people are going to be like, whatever, and give it a year. People are going to get used to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of people on Twitter and a lot of people I really respect that are really Xbox centric people that aren't PlayStation fans whatsoever. I respect people that will admit that that $10 really isn't a lot more over a year. I mean, I know people are under different financial stresses and situations in their lives, and I'm not trying to insult anyone by saying $10 is not a lot more, but in the end, like, it's like somebody said it was like 83 cents a month or something like that. Like, it's, or like 16 cents a day. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't 16 cents a day. It was like 83 cents a month or something like that extra. So in the long run, is that really that much more? But everyone gets pissed. People get pissed when they get charged more and they get the same product. I mean, look at gas prices, right? People always get pissed when gas goes up. They're like, oh shit, gas is up 10 cents this week, and it's like 10 friggin' cents a gallon. Like, if you have an average car, that's gonna cost you what, like $1 more that week for gas. So, people get pissed when they charge more money for the same thing. So if you add just anything to make that $10 seem like it's worth it, people are going to be like, okay, yeah, I understand $10 more, and, I'm getting, Spotify with it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they have a partnership with Spotify. So, and Spotify is normally $10. Or if they're like, oh, well, $10 more, but you get a special tier of Spotify that's not quite premium, but it's not quite the free one either. Something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. I still don't think it's not the end of the world, but when you're not adding any bonus content, I have a hard time with it. You know what I mean?
Right. And blah, 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 inflation, rabble. I understand people say that. And I can't see the YouTube chat right now because my browser is crashed and I can't reopen it for some reason. But if anyone's talking about this, one of you guys, just punch it in there. Anyone say anything in the YouTube chat?
They're mostly
anything about this.
People are just saying that they should put PS Now with PS Plus, which is I agree.
Right.
Yep.
Other PlayStation news this week, which I do not have a picture of because I do not want any lawsuits or any implications from Sony. But a PlayStation Slim kind of leaked, and they're gonna talk about this in the beginning of September. I think September 7th is the date. Is that right?
Yep.
And I guess the rumor is they're gonna show off this new PlayStation Slim. They're gonna announce the PlayStation Neo that has been rumored and then essentially confirmed by Eurogamer.net. Yeah, so they're gonna bring out a slim console. I guess it's gonna be a little cheaper. No one knows the price really. There's been rumors that it's $299. There's been rumors that there's $249 even. Um, and yeah, do you think it's a smart? Let's try to do something that PlayStation will not sue us for, and talk about it like this. Do you think it's smart for them to come out with a slim console, or do you think they should have just left the regular one and just taken the price down?
I think that it pales in comparison to the Xbox One S, for sure. Just because it's from what I've read about it, it's the same, basically the same hardware. It doesn't do any of the 4K stuff that the Xbox One S can. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's an inferior product, and unless you're selling it for $50 cheaper, what's the point?
Yeah, $299. If it comes out at $299, I think it's in trouble.
Yep. But
really
the Xbox, but see, now they didn't call the Xbox One S the Xbox One Slim, so it does help that their name, like, for example, if you saw Xbox One Slim and PlayStation 4 Slim right next to each other, you could compare them. But to a layman who knows nothing about consoles, who's going in there just looking for a box, I don't know if it'll make any difference.
That's fair.
I don't know. Yeah.
Assassin, thoughts on this? Oh,
yeah.
sorry, man, Claude. Go ahead.
I was just gonna bitch about them using rounded off edges now instead of sharp edges for their box. It wasn't a big deal, but like the new screenshots look like they've rounded off the sharp parts and made them into rounds. But it was stupid. Go on. Sorry, Assassin.
Assassin, go ahead, bud.
Well, that PlayStation looks fucking disgusting. But if it's definitely not cheaper than the Xbox, then they're fucked.
I think it will be. And all the leaks and all the write-ups about it have said that it's dropped the optical port on the back for optical stereo systems, which I don't really give a shit. I mean, I don't think a lot of people will either. I think most people use just HDMI to go into their stereos or their TVs and call it a day. I don't think a lot of people use optical. Maybe if you're using a sound bar, it's a fair point. Or if you're using fancy-ass Astro headsets that are like $300 that require the optical port, you do have a good point there. That's a big value drop. But just from the pictures, and obviously we're not displaying it here because we don't want to get in trouble, but from the pictures, from my opinion from the pictures, it definitely looks cheaper than the original one, and it definitely doesn't look a lot smaller. It's not like what I traditionally think of as a PlayStation Slim. Like, how many times have they done this in the past? They've done this so many times, right? Yep. They've always introduced slim units and even slimmer units. Like, look at the PlayStation 2. It had a slim, and then it had a micro. It had one that was like the size of a friggin' notebook. Like, it was so damn thin. So each one of those was like very, very different in their look and in their size. Same thing with the PlayStation 3. But this one, not so much in terms of the size. So
right.
So that's why I tend to think it's going to be $249, and I'd be shocked if it weren't, because why even do it and go to $299 if you have one that looks way better and more premium and has more premium parts that you can just drop to $299.
Right. Well, and I agree. I think if you match Xbox's price at $300 and you're an inferior product, I think that, right, it's suicide, right? I mean, it's like selling a 1080p TV for a 4K TV and selling them for the same price. It makes no sense. Right. I think they're gonna have to undercut them by $50. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and if it were $259 and it were like 20% smaller than the Xbox One S, and it weighed like hardly anything, you put in a book bag or whatever. And I'm big on travel in my consoles. Like, I got my Xbox One S here, and it's so much easier to travel with that than the original Xbox One. And I think that's a big value add. So if it were a lot smaller, maybe added like a 4K Blu-ray player, not necessarily like HDR or 4K upscaling for games or anything like that, just some sort of value add, then I think it would be a huge deal, huge deal. But it just staying the same and charging just a little bit less, and I think it's going to be a disaster. I don't think it's going to sell well, and I don't think Sony really wants you to sell well. You know what I mean? I think Neo is coming out a couple weeks later. They want you to just wait.
Or in 2017. Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah, we'll see. And no, I'm not getting into it, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, no, who knows? It's interesting. I guess in 2 weeks we'll have a little bit more to talk about. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly right. Assassin, last words on this before we end this show?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, you're a stooge. All right. And that is it. It went a little longer, but I think we were talking pretty much the whole time, and it was a good discussion. So, Bear Claw, you always bring the heat. Thanks, bud, for coming on, filling in this week. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And why don't you tell the people where they can find your content these days?
Sure. So follow me on Twitter. It's obviously been shown the whole show. I'd love to have new followers. If you want me to follow you back, let me know, and I totally will. It's not an issue at all. Come read my reviews and news. I write articles every day at bearclawgaming.com. Just put one up this morning about who the Gears of War 4 composer is. So if you're into Game of Thrones, I think you'll be excited. Read about who the composer is. But yeah, no. Thanks again for having us, and thanks for so much for spending an hour with us this afternoon on a Friday. Yeah, thanks so much.
Assassin, thanks,
Yep.
big guy. Always a pleasure, especially that scraggly beard of yours. And now that we're doing it in the daytime, I can actually see more detail.
Yeah,
on
you
that
see
thing.
that sweet lighting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can see that little scruff. Oh yeah. Tilt your head up too. You're showing
Yeah,
off.
get that glare, man. You're like J.J. Abrams.
Wow.
All right. With that, we're out of here. See you
I'll
guys
just
later.
turn on the light.
Yeah.
Oh no! Turn that light off. We talked about this. No red lights, dude. This is the light he uses to cook his food.
No.
It's the heat lamp.
All right, we're out of here, guys. We'll see you later. Peace.
Yeah.